G victory all those years ago that took them to the finals against G2. And what a new look lineup it is for TL as well, with the introduction of Yon, of Appa, of Umpty this year as well. A lot of faith being put in the native NA talent who have been carrying them through this MSI.
And they are at the centerpiece of the draft as well as in-game. A lot of questions around mid lane coming into this series because Faker, of course, not having the best series and getting pressed a little bit in their last one on his champion pool. Team Liquid, they're trying to keep up with that. The Azir, the Ahri remain banned. The only other difference before was that T1 were banning the Ahri themselves, and so that it further weakened that mid lane champion pool, but they're not going to do it this time around.
One of the biggest questions is, what is the priority going to be? And it is indeed going to be the Taliyah, the one champion that Faker has looked decent on. APA, both his trademark picks are currently up. I love this plan from TL. This is something that Gen G, I think, started doing the most way back in LCK, just targeting out Faker. Also, specifically that Lucian ban against a lot of Western teams, I don't feel like that is necessarily a thing, but Yon has looked, I think, like the best Western Lucian by a pretty large margin, so him not getting access to that is definitely big.
So do they want to go with the Kalista or the Senna angle here? Because T1, we were spamming Senna previously.
Oh, yeah.
And super high priority on it, but because of the losses, maybe the priority there has dropped, and I do like TL taking away the Kalista side of it here. So now you get T1 and Guma. Does he actually want to go Senna, or do they want to go with the Varus and do one of the Varus lanes? It's like they're still on the Senna train here. Previous to the last series, this was a remarkable pick for T1. It's just that BLG gave him a little thing to think about.
BLG really punished him harder than I think a lot of teams have been able to.
Certainly.
That, for me, was one of the big questions coming into the series, because T1 has talked a lot about, I feel like the meta read wasn't necessarily up to par. For many people, I think, they were expecting this Senna to possibly be on the chopping block as well. Another big talking point has been the TF. As this Ornn is locked in, obviously, most likely, gonna go towards Keria.
Exactly.
I love the way you say obviously for that. It's like in any other region, it's like, okay, Ornn, likely a top laner, but that is definitely a Keria pick.
Yeah, when paired with the Senna there, the farming Ornn. Now we turn our sights towards the Cassante. Picked up here, blind Cassante. You're expecting the 2 protection bans now coming out. Zeus can play a lot of the counters. I mean, the range champions are the first things you think of, the Twisted Fate and the Vayne, but also we have seen the Camille have success, and I want to keep bringing up the Poppy because I think flexible Poppy is a very valuable pick as well.
I would love to see a Zac ban here. I think that, particularly when you have Senna with double frontline, obviously if you get a control in the early to mid game, you can kind of run away with the game, but come late game...
You're more scared of that than the Vayne?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Yeah, maybe the Vayne is something that you want to play.
The Zeus special, he was on that train so early.
I know, he was, and he is, I think, also one of the best ranged top laners in the players in the LCK. We'll see, Zac or Vayne, both of them make a lot of sense here. To me, it's going to be the Vayne, like you were talking about. Zac, to me, makes a lot of sense. Would mean that Owner has to play a damage jungle, but that's something that generally, outside of the Rel, he has looked better on. Anyway, Rel obviously isn't real anymore.
I think you'd be very comfortable on something like the Viego here. If you do end up picking in that Zac, you have good engaged potential with the Zac. You have the follow-up with the Call of the Forge God. You have the Viego jumping in. You immediately look for those resets. Rel banned away by T1 against Core JJ in that support role. TL likely to pick their jungler here and then leave support for last pick. Lee Sin, a possibility. Poppy's still open for T1 though. And I feel if you pick Lee Sin when you've already got Cassante and Kalista, you are inviting a Poppy out of T1.
That's what I mean, the Poppy has kind of traumatized me for this tournament. It's been locked in so effectively. It's definitely one of the ones swirling around. You mentioned the Zac as well, definitely a possibility. The Camille, I think the possibilities of playing side lanes when you have a Taliyah and a Camille could also be quite effective. Team Liquid will lock in the jungle first here, though. No surprises here. The Zin's out, locked up for Umpty. And now will be the response. What you gonna have for us, Zeus? Some spicy? I like the side lane play.
Camille gives you so much pressure later on in the game as well. We even saw yesterday Broken Blade getting shut down in the early game and doing most of the damage for his team. So there's the Camille locked in alongside it. Oh, point and click. If you wanted to go Vi here, we see it banned so many times. Viego, as we said, also a possibility for T1.
A lot of really interesting decisions here. Obviously, the Vi the strongest with specifically the Taliyah. A lot of extra dive. if you end up going for something like the Viego, you're going to be playing more for resets. Owner's Poppy, though, has historically been amazing. He's been really, really strong on this pick and was one of the big things that in the series against these two in particular.
This is something that Core started practicing as soon as Team Liquid went to Korea. Korea solo queue is spamming the support Galio. They were actually practicing it in 3 roles. In solo queue. I really, really hope that we actually get the lock in here, because this would also bring me back to 2019 MSI, where he also played Galio support. It's not going to be the lock in, though. He's toying with us, and it is the Alistar in the end.
A little bit more tankiness, a little bit more engaged potential, but you do want to avoid the first couple of levels in a lane against something like a Senna and an Ornn. Wouldn't be surprised if we do see a lane swap coming out from TL just to get that Callisto and Alistar to a comfortable spot for the 2v2 lane.
Topside for T1 in particular looking extremely lethal. The combination of Camille, Poppy, and Talia in the early game. A lot of CC, a lot of upfront burst, a lot of power there. Towards the top side, I think that the Ornn is much weaker than what we normally see from Keria, which is that Tahm Kench. But the Tahm Kench, even though Keria is a great pilot, didn't really end up working out in the series against BLG. I think that's one of the large reasons why they have dropped it, instead opting for more of a 5v5 style. T1 trying to re-find some of the confidence that I think was lost in that BLG series. I'm just happy to see that there's a way to kill Cassante. Yesterday's series, when I saw that swap away of the Camille to bot, I'm like, how are we gonna kill it? And they didn't, as it turned out. They didn't kill Cassante, and it was a really big problem.
Can be a struggle, and a struggle indeed to take on T1. They have been under the cosh a little bit at this MSI, underperforming, I think, in many people's estimations. But for TL, this would be a David versus Goliath sort of story. It would be biblical if they managed to take down the current world champions. They almost did it. Remember, at Worlds last year, Piosik got out to that lead against T1. TL weren't quite able to close it. Now with a new look jungler, the general ordering his directions out to the rest of the team. Can TL take this series or even take a game against T1?
All right, Team Liquid, they did accomplish one very critical thing in Champion Select, and that is to get Appa on his Aurelion Soul, one of his main champions. We shall see how he fares against Faker this time around. Last year at Worlds, of course, we made a very big deal out of his solo kill that he did get. But let's take a look at game number 1 here in this opening of this series. Owner already poking around.
I love me some lane swaps though. Core JJ already up here. Yon coming in from the side as well. Owner down to half HP, has to burn the flash. Nimbus Cloak will get him out with a phase rush. But that's Owner's flash down. TL investing towards this top side. Keria nowhere near the rest of his team. He's still down in bot. Stardust picked up for Appa. He's at 4. TL looking for the invade.
Yeah, they're going to continue on to try and split that jungle for their lane swap here. Keep Yon up on the top side. They did not get the last hit on that ward that was up by Raptors. And so that one did remain, the extra golden experience there. And let's track Zeus and see what this Camille can get done in a lane swap, because it's been hiding around on the side of TL, and Zeus is actually poking around. If the top laners can soak up experience, is one of the biggest W's in lane swaps. And if you look at the minimap right now, the Camille's hovering around. It's going to be hard for him to actually get in range of minions to soak up experience, but he's kind of looking to do so. Meanwhile, Impact is just sitting in lane doing so.
Yeah, but one of the great things about Senna is you can move around the map a lot when you are going for these lane swaps. You get those absolution fragments, those souls from just being around any of the camps, as the flash has to come out from APA. And Zeus takes a tower shot.
And he did have to flash that, because if the stun hits, then you're going to get the fallout from Faker, the seismic shove.
Zeus cosplaying the Camille support there, just running around, eating people. Do see him getting spotted here. This should come as no surprise for TL. Possibility of Impact getting over here. Already took a decent amount of damage.
Can he get to level 2? He's very close to level 2 because he was soaking really early on. He does get that.
Will he have the Pathmaker? Going to back away. Owner looking for the stun into the wall, lands it. Impact down to about 150 HP. Owner still chasing. No flash, remember, on him. Impact holding the ghost and just walks away.
I kind of like how Owner just walked at him and S-keyed for a second to try and fake him out and see if he was going to get the ability to draw. In the end, Impact still walks away, though. And he did kind of sneak a level, but now we have the collapse on the opposite side, too.
Towards the top end of the map, this entire wave is going to get absorbed by the turret.
That's
So
three waves, basically, that have just died to that tower. Meanwhile, though, Owner look for Appa in the mid lane. Seismic Shove will knock him back. The chase continues as TL are on the board.
This is why the jungle Poppy was such a menace. Those level 3 ganks are insanely tough to deal with, and AP with already his flash forced is a sitting duck against the Poppy of Owner.
Really good precision of an attack here in mid lane. They denied so much CS to Aurelion Sol here. Faker able to follow up and get the Seismic Shove afterwards. Even though the Poppy stun does not hit into the turret, they still get the Seismic Shove. They still get the kill there.
One of the big things that you do get with the Senna, even though T1 were completely unable to use it due to the pressure of BLG and just how aggressive in general they play, is that you do have a support, even with Spellbook, that has teleport. So moving around the map is a lot easier for Carrier than it is for Core, leading to now a pretty decent sized level lead. We'll see if Yon is able to catch up with that, as right now we are looking at standard 2v2 lanes here towards the top half of the map. Cordo did soak a little bit more than Guma did, who was walking around early trying to, and successfully forcing APA's flash.
Nice little dash back there by Impact away from Zeus, who's going in with the hookshot wall dive. Core chasing forward, not going to go for the engagement. He's been hovering around this top side for a long time, but Faker finds the flash, Seismic Shove, Appa pulled back with a heroic charge, and Owner gets the second kill for T1.
Oh, Faker's locked in today. They slam the Taliyah first pick, and they are rewarded. Another kill onto APA, who now has no teleport, who still had no flash. Just insane stuff here on the mid pressure from T1.
He's sitting at 16 CS already. Faker, who was one of the more criticized members of T1, individually is not having the greatest performance. This time his team giving him so much more help. Now sitting on a 600-700 gold lead here with this Taliyah in the best position you could possibly imagine this early in the game.
Also shutting down one of the big win cons for Team Liquid. Like, APA on this Aurelion Sol is a menace when he can get stacked up, when he can get, 200, 300 stacks and start to zone out entire portions of the map. Here, already sitting 0 and 2 and only at 15 starters as Carrier uses the Bellows Breath to avoid the knock into the wall, will be stunned up, but only loses half his health.
Really smart from T1 too, because it makes it harder for APA to type in chat if he keeps on dying and going back to base.
When it's a gray screen, you have a lot more time to type, don't you?
Oh, does it make it easier? Yeah.
So I think it's easier, but it also lessens impact.
True. Owner being chased out here by Umpty, who's just looking to steal away these Razor Beaks. T1 have a man advantage as Gumayushi is shadowing Faker in the mid lane. Smite will come down, Umpty secures it. Owner's just trying to be as much of a nuisance as possible as the grubs are going to spawn. And T1 look to make those their main objective.
Yeah, I mean, it shifts the whole game so much when you have this amount of mid pressure. Just so many minions lost there from Team Liquid, but it looks like on the top side, they have Core and Umpty poking around here. No, they don't have Smite though for a Smite steal.
I really think
as well.
Also the difference between having a Senna who can roam around and an Alistar who can roam around. The Senna gets things from being near her jungler whilst he's taking camps, can go to mid, take souls, leech a little bit of XP. Alistar doesn't have that same luxury, so even though, so far it's a grub apiece, TL will get their second. You can see Gumayushi already at 15 stacks, even when he hasn't actually been laning against anyone for the majority of this game. APA is going to try and get away, but the Flash Steadfast Presence pulls him back. Still no flash for him. And the Dragon is sent to the stars. Faker on the board.
I can't watch anymore. Turn it off, guys. Oh my God, it's brutal in mid lane. Faker, the GOAT, is putting his foot down, and the rest of T1 are coming to help.
Owner on this Poppy was one of the picks that T1 didn't seem to pay a lot of attention to in the series against G2, that they used it with incredible effects, and T1's, you know what? Okay, it's fine. We'll accept the fact that this pick is indeed really strong, and it's Owner who's consistently aggressive as Yon.
Has to flash away from the Call of the Forge God. Gumayushi was there to chase as well.
And when BLG, they had been pressing mid lane champion pool and they were trying to pressure Faker more, they were trying to prioritize early picks on the Taliyah, but since T1 are on blue side, they were able to lock that one in, and then all of the visits from Owner and all the extra pressure here, this should be just such a very, very smooth and easy mid game for T1 to transition into.
The question is, how do they do that, and how does TL try and react to it? Because TL are very good at reading what their opponents are going to do and then trying to catch them out. Zeus caught out a little bit here. Core JJ will force him to recall in a different position, but it looks to me like T1 are investing in this bottom side right now. Kerry is moving across, and it's likely to be a play around a first trade.
As TL, I think you're kind of looking to try and utilize the amount of upfront burst you can get from Core finding a combo, APA throwing his ult on top of that, and then Umti trying to split up the fight. You can't take a straight up upfront fight at this point. You need to try and find a numbers advantage somehow. That's one of the things where the Taliyah is so big. It's because it makes it so much harder to find those opportunities. Add to that the fact that there's a puppy in the game who can very easily turn fights in your favor in terms of numbers as well. And it makes it really hard for TL to pick up the Drake here, as obviously the earlier Grubs, they actually were able to relatively successful contest. So when it comes to objectives, TL still able to get a whole lot done. But when it comes to getting gold on the map, they are struggling.
Yeah, they got to focus on their early tools. Their early tools are the Kalista lane, like you're talking about, and the Xin Zhao combination. Umti getting level 6 is a possibility for them to actually work some magic if they could play off of the duo lane. But mid lane is very, very risky for them. Owner continuing to focus over here, just always hovering, always looking for these flash plays or the Hex flash plays.
Core JJ looking to catch out Owner as he moves towards his bot side jungle, but he realizes enemy bot's missing, enemy jungle's missing, probably don't want to step in there. There's no camps there for him to take either. Gumayusi and Kerry just answering the pressure from Team Liquid. You can see Zeus moving down from top as well. I was wondering whether he'd look for APA again in the mid lane, try and get that flash down. Instead, just walks over to the Scuttle Crab, sees it's not there, and backs away.
Man, every single seismic shove with no setup is landing, and those rocks are painful.
Says a lot when APA is feeling pressured to ult just to make sure that he clears the wave, that he gets his back in. He's been just sitting on mercs. That's all he's got for the last couple of waves, so he's just not able to reliably trade back. One of the big things with this ASOL, we've seen Chovy in particular do really well, is if you get through the early laning phase, you can actually have a lot of pressure in the 1v1. But because T1 has focused him so relentlessly, yes, it's gotten Faker ahead, but it also means that this ASOL, as with many of these stacking champions, like once you get set behind in the early game, it takes so much longer to hit your benchmarks.
I think next goal here we're going to have on the map is going to be T1 getting their 4 grubs. Remember, they reduced the grub count that you need to get the extra Void Might down to 4 from 5. So off of the first one that they got, just gank mid here for a little bit of mid pressure, push that in, and then go up to the grubs and try and secure the rest of that objective for themselves. I mean, those mites really do help out. When you're running the Taliyah and the Camille, we talked about this in Champion Select, but the possibility of opening up the mid game so that side lane play and the extra pushing power there would go a very long way.
And you can see after getting mid pressure, Owner and Gumayusi work their way across here. And TL, I don't really think they want to fight this, even with Yon moving towards the top side of the map.
We'll see. Maybe they can catch them on the exit because Carriot doesn't have his teleport available right now. But because they're so far behind in item spikes and in power, maybe a pick.
Knock back with Dim. Tofu's all out. Pulls Zeus under the tower. He has the flash. Core JJ is there. Knocked back with the Keeper's Verdict, but Umti across the wall will be able to get one.
He has Smite. If he could steal 1 grub, it would actually be huge to deny the 4.
Doctors the wall. APA coming across with the Singularity as well. Gumayusi's going to keep him away. The grub resets at 2,000 HP. Umti dashing forward onto Faker, who has to flash away across the wall. Last Embrace doesn't hit. Umti should be able to steal this one away. T1 will be very greedy to go for it, but a good play by Team Liquid as they manage to get another. Carrier being forced away here by Impact. Ignite is down from the unsealed spellbook. Carrier, good Bellows Breath will stop the Intofu 3 from knocking him back. And Carrier gets to the safety of his tower.
Kasante Gaming gets TL right back in here, gives them a little bit of hope. The impact play allows them to deny the 4 grubs there, so get a little bit of gold as well as a little bit of an objective. T1 still in a commanding position. I don't think they'll be too worried about that last play, but that was a little bit of positivity there for the NA #1 seed.
Carrier immediately taking a lot of damage here as soon as he TPs back into the lane. One of the big things here is that T1 was still aggressively contesting a member down, which is a classic T1 thing. Impact here, very straightforward, finds the stun, finds the Q3, then delivers Zeus to his team. And then here, crucially, even with the ult from Owner, the general over the wall, wind becomes lightning, finds the snipe, And Umti actually now sitting on that Sundered Sky, I imagine is going to be looking to try and find more of his plays, because this is the type of game where if you lose control of the mid game, you're never going to reach the point as Umti.
Umti has to flash away. Weaver's Wall from Faker as well can separate. But he decides against using it. Impact holding the wave far enough away, has that Iceborne Gauntlet, so looks like TL will survive any possible dive for now. Gumayushi chasing Impact out, CoreJJ on his way down through the bot lane. I was going to say, like, the other window for Team Liquid is Faker has no flash. Like, if you could just do to Faker what he's been doing to APA over the last few moments. The issue with that always is you need river control, you need vision control to do it, and right now, all of that bot side river is in Team T1's favor.
Yeah, maybe you're looking at CoreJJ, captain of TL there, to try and get out on the map, start making some plays. He's level 6 on the Alistar, does have his flash. Maybe he could get into the fog of war. The only problem is T1 vision control has been so good, especially around that mid lane. They always keep it lit up for Faker.
So there's CoreJJ as the captain, and then you have Captain, or Yapton America, and then you have the general. It's a lot of voices.
We've got a captain, a Yapton, and a general.
And a yawn.
and a top die.
Oh, Umti.
Knocked into the wall. There's the seismic shove. Crescent Guard goes down. Faker can't do the damage, but now Keria caught in the midst of it as Umti tries to turn it back around. Call of Fortune coming out. Keria can't knock it up as he's stunned against the wall. Jon going in as well. Keria so tanky. The falling sky not enough from APA right now, doesn't have the damage. But it is a 3v4. CoreJJ going back in with the Fate's call. And Owner's locked up. Team Liquid start to fight back. Impact living up to his name as he all-outs back as Jon takes another, and Team Liquid win the fight around the Drake.
Crucially there, so much damage goes into Umti, and T1 is a member down. So Umti, with his ultimate, stays alive, Zeus stays in top, and TL will get to the second Drake.
Team Liquid with some team play down around the Dragon. That will keep their Dragon stacking alive. And Impact is always known for coming to the rest of the team to make plays. He's always the type of top laner that wants to come support you in a Dragon fight rather than go for the split push. And here's what you're talking about as far as Owner getting that big burst damage chunk onto Umti. But Umti is in Zhao, and without the extra pressure of other DPS on him, is fine kind of healing up with his Conquer and his autos off of Keria. APA in the backside zoned out the rest of T1 with that Aurelion Soul ultimate, and then the re-engage onto Owner here after Team Liquid have 4 members on the bottom half of the Dragon. They just chase them up into Impact. It is definitely worth saying, though, keep this in mind, that a lot of T1 strategy is about opening up the map with the split push with the Camille and the Taliyah. And Camille, Zeus, did get outer tower.
Just want to mention that, as you were saying, because Impact, he is a team player, but it also means that he's going to go further behind in terms of individual gold. So the amount of pressure that Zeus is going to have in his side, I think that 2 spike in particular for Camille, that's when she really starts coming online. And from that point on, it's only going to get harder and harder to reliably deal with it. Also saw there, APA actually buying a lot of time with his stun, finding 2 people, meaning that there was a little bit more space for TL in that team fight. With a Hextech Drake, though, I think getting a 2 Drake lead gives you a lot more freedom. I don't know if that alone is going to be enough, because T1 have a lot of really great tools for starting off fights, right? Your Poppy, you have Ornn, you have your Camille, so snap engage is definitely not something that they're going to have difficulty with, but anything that you can use to stall when you have an ASO on your team, I think is always going to be valuable.
And playing around the timers on these juiced up ultimates, as you can see, level 11 has the empowered ultimate right there now too. Is definitely something that Team Liquid would want to try and focus on to get back into this game, because you are facing a lot of scary stuff that is scaling up on the T1 side. With the Camille split push, with the Senna and the Ornn both having really good scaling as well.
Credit to APA, though, on that Aurelion Soul. He did fall behind in the early game. He's still a little bit behind the pace you'd want to be on in terms of Stardust stacks, but at 136 right now, he'll start to get a little bit more as we go through the game. Umti locked up, Weaver's Wall coming in as well, and Umti realizes he needs to get the hell out of here. Crescent Guard called to the forge, got TP in, as Team Liquid look to take the fight. Faker has the flash across the wall. CoreJJ with the Unbreakable Will, maybe an Unbreakable Spirit here for North America. The skies descend, and Team 1 descend behind them, 6 feet under. Faker already down, Keria having to dash away. Owner force low, as well as Team Liquid once again come up on top in the fight.
And it was T1 that thought that they were ready, that they could take their ultimate again. So much damage goes into the Sinzao.
Exactly! They got the full combo onto Umti, but Umti popped his ultimate to deny the burst damage, and then CoreJJ on his Alistar followed up. They still have pressure around mid lane here with Impact hovering, but I don't think Zeus and Guma are going to expose themselves
Oh, Carrier, no flash, no TP. Does have a tower. I'm not sure Team Liquid will be able to get through him quickly enough, but that breath of life is a breath of death, and now Faker joins the party! But this is not the sort of party you want to be involved in, as Umti's able to dash away. Faker manages to survive for a moment. APA Astral fighting out because Ona is on his way to join, and now the tides begin to turn. The seesaw swings in favor of Team Liquid.
Gold lead is slowly getting smaller and smaller, and that's now back-to-back skirmishes where it's TL that get out ahead.
It's a team game, as emphasized by Team Liquid in all of the content that they do. Even the LCK content, by the way, where Umti went on Secret Boardroom, and the
Where it's called APA NHOV.
He said that it's okay if APA loses 1v1 because it's a team game, and they will focus on the team fights. Let's take another look at it. There's the combo they started out onto Xin Zhao. That was the AoE denied, and then the follow-up, Core JJ into Impact. And Impact shuts down his old teammate Faker to get some extra gold for TL.
It's also, again, T1 not seemingly being on the same page, and this is something that they've struggled with the entire tournament, it feels like, because, yes, Zeus joins, but it really doesn't impact the fight from that point on because so much burst has already gone down. They've lost their most fed member, and the teleport is invested, but particularly on the side laner, if instead they made the same call and Zeus just keeps on pushing, right? Maybe he's a level up at this point, maybe his second item can be done, but instead, actually see aiming, or Impact rather, at least when it comes to the experience, still sitting even.
And the big thing for T1 now is you're 2 dragons down. Drake is up in 16 seconds time. The gold basically even between these two teams. Almost 2 items on APA, almost 2 items on Yon. Team Liquid in a very advantageous position to fight around this next Drake.
Exactly. Even though T1 were getting all these kills onto APA early on into the game, TL did the 2 main things you need to focus on with the objectives when you're facing against a split-pushing team. Deny the Void Grub bonus and stack your early dragons so that you can bring them to you. This will be number 3 for sure, and then Dragon Soul Point will be acquired by Team Liquid. We will see in 5 minutes here if they're able to force T1 once again to come check them.
Trying to play into Hextech Soul, A-Soul when he starts to get big is almost impossible. Rylai's alone is already insanely annoying, but if you add the Hextech Slow on top of that, it becomes so hard in T1. We're gonna need to start to see some of the team fighting power that they have, as well as the explosiveness. Zeus needs to find backline and actually be there, and the team needs to be on the same page, because if you start dropping these Drakes and you actually lose the soul, TL, their team fighting comp is really strong as well.
It really, really is. And we've seen a couple of times the difference between Camille really early on. You mentioned before not having the multiple items. Now Camille has the 2 item powers.
Umti flashes away. Zeus coming in for the chase. TP in behind as Impact looks to join the fray. Umti should fall first here. The falling sky though buys him another second. Zone falls low. On the backline, Yon is trying to get away from Carrier. The Dawning Shadow not enough, but Zeus finds him with the flash. Hookshot won't die for Yon, and now T1 really spring to life.
Zeus, as soon as he finishes his Ravenous Hydra, here comes the Camille like Superman out of the wings here for T1. They get the pick, they kill Umti, they kill in mid lane as well, and they're gonna grab the Baron.
And 4 times the charm, the previous engages in Umti not paying off for T1. This one though paying off in humongous fashion, as this Baron's surely gonna go down.
I mean, Ona has to keep his verdict, but that's really the only ultimate T1 have. Carrier flashing forward, APA flashing away, Astral Flight gets him away for the moment. Impact trying to join the party as CoreJJ trying to get there in time. Impact goes all out just this once, and he puts Zeus to bed. He won't find another as T1 collapse on him, but Team Liquid do get 1 kill out of it.
Well, that's a big kill. Zeus, you are the split pusher. You want to play that 1-4, so giving up the Baron buff on him is a bit rough, but still immense win for T1.
Yeah, it's crazy. As soon as he finishes his item, by the way, he just finished his Ravenous, and then here he comes. Zeus, the god incarnate here. Oh man, that timing too, finding him in the brush, stopping the recall, and then Owner immediately goes with him. They dive onto Umti. APA is trying to peel him and they delay a little bit, but he's already dead. And by that time, the rest of the members of T1 have put so much damage onto Yon that Zeus could follow through on that kill as well, flashing in, grabbing the stun, turning it into the early Baron. How many times have you seen T1 use these Baron buffs to just clean the map?
It was just 2 minutes ago we were talking about how Team Liquid were in a good spot for the next fight. Now they are 4,500 gold behind, still 2 minutes on the Baron, but 2 minutes on the next Hex Drake as well would be sold for TL if they can somehow sneak it away under T1's noses. T1, though, when they get into this sort of position, are very hard to topple.
TL gonna have to try and find a team. You might even say that they give up this next dragon because, again, they have a lot of freedom this time around. Wait for another item on APA, wait for, say, 7 minutes instead of the 2. As long as you don't lose your inhibitors and don't lose full control of the map, you should be fine to at least be able to move out. You have Core JJ, great at face checking, a lot of safety for him with the Fates Call as well. But right now, you just gotta keep your defenses up. T1, though, they're gonna be looking particularly for these side lane turrets to inject even more gold, further build that lead, and get to the point where TL, even with their scaling with this Cassante and this Asol, is never gonna reach that point.
Yeah, because looking across too, even though it's a support Ornn, guess what? Carry is going to start upgrading items pretty soon here. And so T1 are going to have upgraded items on top of all the soul stacking that has been a little bit slow this game for Guma, but we'll be able to start getting some more too.
It's kind of seesawed between APA getting put behind in terms of souls early game, and now Gumayushi not being as quick after having a bit of an accelerated early game in terms of stacks, only getting up towards 80 right now. APA at up 240. The tier 2 in the bot lane falls. Zeus trying to get away. Does have TP, no flash for him. Hookshot wall dive was used. TP coming in, and Team Liquid accept that that's all they really wanted. Either, you know, a couple of summoners maybe. They get the TP out. Meanwhile, Kerry is looking for the collapse. And T1 want a little bit more of the action. Base call will pull out Core JJ, but Umpty dives in. The Crescent Guard, just enough to keep him alive.
And they saved the general, but it's at a heavy cost. T1, they're gonna keep going.
In fact,
two big ultimates gone.
Impact's looking for something here as well. He's waiting in the wings, waiting in the bushes. Will T1 overstep? The Baron on most of them still. Now, importantly, Zeus will back slower than the rest. In the end, everyone is going to get away for T1. They got 3 tier 2s out of that play, so the gold continuing to balloon in their favor.
Yep, they literally just wiped all of your outer towers off the map. One Baron, goodbye every single outer tower there for TL. Now they just have to defend at their inhibitor ones. And you already brought up the difficulties now with fighting this dragon. TL are trying to get some vision first. And poke around over there. APA does technically have teleport on the Aurelion Soul, so they can make the call. Just keep him split pushing up on that top side and maybe get up to the tower instead of actually trying to fight this dragon.
When it comes to souls, Guma's been struggling, but he does already have his Lord dumps. Zeus might be in trouble here.
He's always lonesome here. Like, TL know he's in the area as well. You can see Core JJ starting to collapse. Team Liquid have given up the Drake. Now, can Appa survive through... APA survived through Zeus' initial burst. He can. There's the knockup as well. Hexa Ultimatum, though, into the hookshot wall dive. APA Samus! No angel saves you from a god. It's Zeus picking up the 1-for-1 in the top lane.
With all the resources being put from T1 towards the bot side to get this dragon, TL think maybe we can get something. Zeus says no, a 1-for-1 trade. As crucially, APA dies, and not only that, because they all went top, mid lane inhib is open.
Yep, T1, they're inside those inhibitor turrets now. 1 inhibitor down for TL. Core JJ looking for something there as the Alistar goes to venture into the jungle and try and find an angle. But look, already a bunch of the vision left behind by the T1 members as well. We're only 26 minutes into the game, and they've already taken 1 inhib.
Really ballooned off that sequence before the Baron. T1 now with Faker having a Rabadon's death cap, a Knight's Vow and a Locket to protect him here. Very close, but APA is just so split from Umpty at the start of the play.
Yeah, he wanted to get that wind becomes lightning over the wall, but because Zeus went for it there onto APA, he got the extra rush on the damage, and Umpty couldn't jump over, and so had to walk around, and Zeus got the 1-for-1.
Yeah, the Locket not enough to save him in the end. Owner getting forced out here. The Rylai's from APA doing quite a lot of work. Zeus pushing in the bot lane, though. He's now going to recall. See if he TPs into a play. Baron up in 45 seconds.
Yeah, with Camille, really, your proximity to walls is such a big thing. At the beginning of the changes to the Rift, she actually dropped pretty substantially because of the changes to all the walls. So without reliable ways to start your hookshot, find enemies, champion becomes a lot weaker. APA there couldn't get far enough away, and now T1 starting to set up for the Baron. spawning in 20 seconds. If that one falls, I don't think TL are going to find their Nexus alive for much longer.
And T1 have so many ways to apply pressure now. You've got 3-item level 16 Camille. This is Zeus scaled. This is Zeus with ultimate power in the side lane. So you can just have him split push on the bomb side of the map while the rest of T1 over here start up the Baron, fish around for any picks, control the vision as Team Liquid will try and poke around. They will try and stop this play. Here they go. The wall from Faker should stop them, though.
Yeah, how do you get into the pit with the Weaver's wall down there? Now it falls. Umti looking for the steal. Keeper's verdict being channeled by Ona. Misses. 3,000 HP on it. Almost taken away, but Ona lands the smite. TL still looking for more of a fight. Hexagon Maiden was used by Zeus. Call of the Portugal going in as Yon has to flash away. APA still keeping the rest of T1 at bay. 4JJ looking for a flank position, but Ona's going to chase him out. Zeus moving up and now starting to recall. Does have the TP. APA going back in as Faker lands the knockup. The seismic shot, the Crescent Guard enough to kill off Umti. The TP in as well by Zeus. Where's he going? Towards the fight as Zeus is on APA. Gumayushi chases out. APA no way to go. Tries to astral flight, will escape for a moment, but Faker's here to shut him off. Faker down. Impact and Yon doing everything they can to survive, but Impact will have exactly the opposite of that. Yon now forced away and T1 pushing through mid.
TL look for the Hail Mary. Maybe we could get a contest on this, but it's going to cost them their Nexus.
That's another TP in, just to make sure they kill Yon. Carrier wanted a piece of the action, a piece of the champ, but T1, the champs of this game at least. TL, they fought and they fought and they looked like they had a chance, but in the end, T1 just slammed the door in their face. 1-0 T1.
In this first game, again, it comes down to can the T1 enable Faker? And if he does, the team looks a whole lot better. It's the Taliyah first pick and the continued attention of Owner and Guma towards that mid lane.
T1, they get that pick in mid lane, they turn it into a Baron, and they just clean the entire map. That's why this team is so good, so decisive, and that man right there, if he's comfortable in the game, their shot calling is on point, and they will win.
Question for TL is how do you shut Faker out of the game? BLG were able to do it pretty well. Can TL find another avenue to take down T1? Don't forget to log into LoLesports.com using your Riot ID to earn exclusive MSI 2024 drops. I see the analyst desk standing by and ready over to our right, so we're going to hand it over to them to break that one down.
Thank you so much. Perhaps if we see TL moving to the blue side, they can do exactly that, Medic. But for now, in this game, I almost felt like it was a business transaction.